everybody. Welcome to Dim Lights Horror, the podcast that tells classic and modern stories from around the world for you to hear. Now please, take a seat, dim your lights, and join me in today's story by Reddit user Jackie effing Vincent. It Wants My Liver, Part 2. Seth had been so scared and borderline catatonic, and me for my cowarance. After finishing our meal, the two of us headed back to my room. I wanted to check on my parents, or even my little brother, but the shame stopped me. That my fear for what might have happened to them. I sat on my chair and Seth joined me, notably shying away from the desk which once held the note, having now crumbled away into a fine powder. "So what do we do now?" I said, turning to face my friend. He didn't respond, only looking at me with those haunted eyes of his, burrowing into my soul. I tried looking back into his eyes to see in them some form of companionship in this horror, but there was nothing. I couldn't take his empty stare any longer, his wordless expression. I sent him home, figuring that whatever it wasn't after his liver. After all, it told us what it wanted. Johnny's liver. My liver. I hunkered down the day, trying to forget, unwilling to go to anyone for help. So I locked my door, locked my window, closed the curtains, and sat. I pulled up my old laptop, and it was technically meant for school, but as a teenage guy, it typically got used for anything but. I searched for anything about pranksters in the area, things that weren't right in my town, but there again, there was nothing. As a last resort, I decided to just copy the note. "Johnny, Johnny, I want your liver. Enter." There were only 3 results. The first was a slogan from a butcher shop, not quite it. The second was some sort of school project about the function of the liver. Yeah, not that either. The third was a blog post dated 10 years ago. It talked about how the kid, Johnny, believe it or not, went to a butcher shop just to find the whole thing a mess of organs and innards, save for one thing, a single liver placed atop the counter, ready to be paid for. It went to say that he heard noises at night, faint at first, only catching on a breeze, but each night the voice got closer. All it ever said was, "Johnny, Johnny, I want your liver." The blog ended after the 5th day with only a single word: help. Needless to say, I freaked out. I began hyperventilating immediately, pulling in breath after breath, but still being unable to relax. I broke down in tears so loud, I wonder how my parents didn't hear me. That wonder eventually took me, and I stopped the tears. Why hadn't my family checked on me? Normally, they at least come in to say dinner was ready. What was happening? I tried bringing myself to go to them, but no matter what I did, I simply couldn't bring myself to leave my room. Not that I didn't want to. It was like my legs turned to concrete. In the end, I couldn't bring myself to go to them. What scared me was that I wasn't even afraid to see them. It wasn't cowardice. My legs just wouldn't move. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't leave where I was standing. I laid on the floor weeping, scared for my family, and even more scared for what tonight would bring. I cried and I cried until eventually I fell asleep. I woke to a voice eerily close, beckoning. "Johnny, Johnny, I want your liver." The childlike innocence of the voice only scared me more. I huddled back against my bed, too scared to even get on and be seen from the window. It was closer now, just outside the front door of my house. Only 2 rooms separated us. It was as though the smile had grown wider on its face. Despite me not being able to see it at all, I could feel the glee in its voice, and it tormented me. Every few seconds, its call rang through the house, so close now. It remained eerily still in my room. The wind didn't blow outside. The curtains remained still. There was no movement at all. The quiet was still deafening. Always complete silence, only interrupted every few moments by that evil call. The minutes stretched longer than what should have been possible, huddled against my bed, as if it could somehow hold all the bad things at bay. I had broken out into a cold sweat. My heart was practically beating outside of my chest. As the 9th minute pushed towards its end, the final call came, instilling a fear deep into my soul. A single threat. "Johnny, Johnny, I want your liver," the voice said, followed with a giggle. Sleep did not come easy that night. I woke up covered in sweat. A burning fever raged inside of me. My forehead was nothing more than cold sweat. The rest of my body felt as though it was only a needle's edge from shutting down. I don't know how, but I got sick, deathly sick, overnight. I slept the day away, getting up in hazy, broken steps for water and bathroom breaks. I went to see my family. My concrete legs seemed looser in the haze. There was nothing but organs and blood. No mom, no dad, no annoying little brother, just intestines and blood. Nothing to worry about, just a fever dream. No more real than the voice which came from outside the door of my room. "Johnny, Johnny, I want your liver." It was all fake. Just a dream of a sick man, nothing more. The voice was soothing. It helped me sleep. It brought me into the next day. The next day was nothing more than giggles and laughs. One hell of a time, if you ask me. The voice was there this time, although the day it stayed outside my door. Always the same words. He just wanted my liver after all. Maybe it wasn't so bad. Do I really need my liver? More giggles, more laughs. My laughs. The daylight hour passed slowly. I didn't leave to fetch water this time. I had put my head under the covers after all. Instead, I just stayed there. It was nice and cozy there. The night was here now. Why was I ever scared of it? It was so cool. The voice was even closer, right above my sheets. I had no clue how he entered, but why does it matter? It's so calming. Johnny, Johnny, I want your liver. What was that? He wants my what? My liver. I felt my lucidity come crashing down onto me. Family was dead. It's in my room. What day is it? The 5th day. The last day. Johnny, Johnny. Yeah, I get it. You want my goddamn liver. I shouted, head still under the covers. For all the bravado in that shout, there was no way I wanted to face it. I could see a silhouette, a shadow of a small kid, no more than 10. Somehow I could see its smile, not in the silhouette itself, but behind it, on the figure. I could feel its gaze, its hungry eyes darting up and down above me, staring into whatever consciousness lay beneath me. The other night held true. If all the other nights held true, I have 10 minutes. You can do a lot in 10 minutes, right? Like, maybe write up to a 6 or 7 short paragraphs. That and some mad giggles in between. And by that time, it should leave you about enough time to scream, which I will about now. Thank you all for listening. If you're listening on YouTube, please subscribe and leave a comment. I value your feedback. And if you're listening on Spotify, click the follow button to hear more stories from Dim Lights Horror. And be sure to take a look at my Facebook and Instagram. Just look up Dim Lights Horror in the search bar. Good night, everybody. Part 2.